Kia ora, good evening. Oyster lovers were out in droves yesterday to get their hands on some Fovo Strait delicacies.
People arrived at Barnes Wild Bluff Oysters long before it opened to get a place in line for the first bluff oysters of the season. Harvesting may have started yesterday morning, but the orders have been coming in for weeks, and now it was time to start sending them out.
Order numbers are crazy. It's always the same at the start of the season. Everybody wants the first dibs on them, but certainly there's people been humming around our shop since 8 o'clock this morning, really. But yeah, soon we'll let them go very shortly.
And when can we expect them to see them in restaurants?
Certainly locally, just because of a Sunday, it's quite hard to move them around the country. But there's certainly, Invercargill restaurants will have them this evening, and takeaway outlets and things. So. Yeah, but it's so it didn't have quite as good a start with the catch today, just because of those couple of mechanical issues we had. But certainly, Tuesday, Wednesday, we should have oysters around the country. Hopefully, yeah. Things have got underway, but we've had a few wee issues with boats this morning. But the weather's been good, and we've certainly got some oysters in the factory today.
And what were the issues with the boats?
Just a couple of mechanical issues, but just start of season blues, but nothing that can't be fixed. It should be all go tomorrow. Yeah.
But otherwise, the weather got all the other boats out on time?
Yeah, no, the weather was good, and a couple of the boats got away nice and early. So we had them back in early morning. So we just started opening oysters up now.
How many people do you have working back there?
So this is the first day, but there's about 45 people here this morning, sort of gearing up. So they're just starting and opening now.
And what do the sizes look like?
They certainly are about the size, but they certainly taste pretty good. Things are looking really good. So for the first day, get a shakedown out of the way, but things are looking good.
And what prices can we expect this year?
Certainly the prices in Invercargill are the same as they have been for the last 3 or 4 years. We sell them at our retail shop for $23 a dozen, but just business as normal for that, hopefully.
And for some people, whatever the price or whatever the waiting time, bluff oysters are worth it.
Well, we're just heading back to Gore from Riverton, and I always try to make it that I'm passing through Invercargill about the time the oysters first come on to hand. They've got fullness of flavour. I'm a bit of an oysterholic really, and I've tried a lot of different oysters, but these ones are the best, the very best.
They're bluff oysters. They're the best in the world. There's no other oyster that compares. And as those Pacific oysters.
So we know bluff oysters are the best, but what's the best way to eat them?
Bluff oysters you can have any way. You can have them raw, you can have them cooked, you can have them fried, you can have them in stews and soups and all sorts of ways.
And how do you prefer yours?
Any way, as long as I don't have to cook them.
Harvesting season extends until August 31 or earlier if limits are reached, and the way they're running out of the shops, I would suggest getting your fill quickly. Sharon Rees, South Today News.
Police today arrested a 15-year-old girl and her 20-year-old male associate after the female allegedly assaulted a 57-year-old woman in Invercargill and threatened her with a knife. The duo sparked a police chase after stealing the woman's Toyota Yaris and drove north towards Dunedin. The car was stopped by road spikes south of Dunedin at 2:30 a.m, but the pair escaped on foot. The pair were later spotted by members of the public who reported them as acting suspiciously. Both are being interviewed by police. Bovine tuberculosis is on the decline, with high-risk areas reducing, and now more cows can move freely without rigorous testing beforehand. Almost 20,000 less bovine tuberculosis tests will take place in the province following the combined success of farmers, TB Free and Osprey's joint efforts to reduce high-risk TB areas. Huge reductions in TB rampant possum numbers are finally being seen after decades of hard work.
Well, they obviously ate a lot of grass in the trees. They bared the leaves off the trees and killed the trees, and there was hundreds of them. You could go out and shoot 100 a night quite easy.
Brock's farm previously fell within a movement control area, but less TB-infected possums means cattle movement restrictions have been lifted, bringing more freedom with stock.
Not in a movement control area is great because we can send the cattle away when we want. We don't have to test them. Cattle can come in. It's not at the same risk. People, because you're in a movement control area, sometimes they won't send stock into this area for grazing, so it makes it easier to get grazing. So it makes a massive difference.
Previously, as part of farming within the movement control area, on-site TB testing could be time-consuming and restrictive.
You've got to test before they go away, within 3 months of them going away. And so if you want to send cattle away, you've got to ring up the TB tester, get them to come and test them, which takes a week, and then before you can send them away. But also you can't send them away when you want. If it gets dry, it might take 2 or 3 weeks before you can send them away.
The success of the TB-free program is clearly aligned to the use of 1080 poison.
Well, it's a bit controversial, but it has worked, even though people have been against it. I mean, no one likes indiscriminate killing of animals, but it's pretty hard to trap possums when they're like 5 or 10 k's back in the bush, and to get the people to do it. It has worked. They had a fair few knockers at the start and no one ever thought they would have got there, but they have, so good on them. They've done well. We've never had TB, but some of the neighbours have had TB. Was quite a bad area, so we've been lucky.
New farm animal technology is expected to help reduce risks in the future.
With nate tags they can check, well, they've got to be registered when they move on and off the farm, so they'll know how many farms they've been on, where they've been in their lifetime and everything. So that'll make a difference to stock coming from but they might have been 2 or 3 years before that they're in a movement control area and they've got TB there.
But farmers still are encouraged to be vigilant, especially when buying stock from other areas. TB testing history is still currently the best way to assess risks of incoming stock. Margot Sutherland, South Today News. Southern District Health Board staff are being asked to speak up about patient safety to ensure the safest possible environment for everyone in the workplace.
A video has been released by the Southern DHB which shows staff and patients sharing their thoughts on the importance of having an open and proactive culture of direct feedback in regards to safety. The SDHB said the video is part of a larger program of initiatives designed to further progress its safety culture, one that puts staff at the centre of patient safety and recognises the pivotal role they have in preventing harm. The video release coincides with the rollout of the new South Island-wide electronic risk management system, which is due to go live tomorrow.
The average asking price of homes for sale in the country has pushed the $500,000 threshold.
The latest monthly data released by realestate.co.nz has revealed the average asking price nationally is just over $511,000, an increase of 2.6% on January's record. The company said key regions were continuing to show robust growth in average asking prices as well as a healthy number of new listings. According to TradeMe's Property Price Index, Southland's average asking price was up 5.5% for January 2015 compared to the same time last year. Southland's average asking price was up to nearly $240,000 for the month.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, members of the public are asked which property rules they consider to be loopy. Welcome back. Invercargill MP Sarah Dowie has called members of the public to have their say on property rules and regulations they consider to be unnecessary. The community meeting is part of government's Rules Reduction Task Force initiative to work closely with local government, trades and the public to weed out pedantic and annoying rules.
Well, this is an initiative that's come out of the Productivity Commission's report of working toward better local government. So this was a promise prior to the election, and the task force has been set up to hear from people around the regions to find out what's going on in their region with regards to property rules.
And how are these rules becoming a hindrance to property owners?
Well, there's a number of different trends that seem to be coming through, and this is the forum for people to let us know about those so that we can feed them back to the task force. But for example, often people can interpret different rules in a very strict manner, and maybe what people are looking at doing is a minor technical breach of that rule. And if you apply common sense to it, perhaps that minor breach could be overlooked. Anyone that's had a frustration with property rules or regulations, and we want to hear your views, look at the trends, and then follow that through to make some sensible regulations.
And how will it be decided if the rules are unnecessary?
Well, that's all part of working out the trends. Once all of the submissions are heard, they will be compiled and then fed through to the task force, which, who are a range of different people coming from different backgrounds, local and central government experts, along with tradespeople that can feed that expertise into the process and then report back to the Minister.
It was a busy day for Invercargill fire crews on Sunday, but there was no emergency in sight.
It was Children's Day at the city's fire station and record numbers came along to keep fire crews on their toes. The Free Family Day included face painting, arts, crafts, healthy foods, fire safety lessons and a behind-the-scenes look at the station. Event organisers said they were surprised when the expected 2,000 crowd turned into almost 4,000, and although the larger crowd meant going through supplies a little quicker, no one seemed to mind. They said the day ran extremely well and the larger crowd had sparked them to work with sponsors and businesses to plan for even bigger and better next year.
A tautau invited all the creative, crafty and green-fingered Southlanders to stop and smell the roses at the weekend. The town's 4th annual Three Churches Flower and Quilt Walk saw quilt earring designs from patchworkers across Southland, as well as different kinds of flower arrangements to provoke the mind. A floral Anzac tribute was produced to mark the upcoming Anzac centennial, as well as art and craft stalls displaying weaving, fine furniture and wood turning. And those who weren't quite as crafty or green-fingered went along to support the cause and to taste some local fresh produce on sale. Wild foods was the menu of the choice on Saturday as the second Southern Wild Foods Festival got underway at Invercargill Stadium, Southland. Hundreds made the effort to support the second Wild Food Festival in the South, which included a day of stage entertainment from local performers. Chef Richard Till provided some cooking demonstrations and also launched a new business, the Seriously Good Food Company. Snails, hoo-hoo grubs, bull's pissil, whitebait, sweetbreads, wild goat, raw fish and pork belly burgers tempted grazers with plenty of wine on hand to help wash it all down. Now let's take a look at the highs and lows from around the country.
Your forecast on Q is brought to you by Environment Southland. Environment Southland wants to know what you think about our recreational water areas. Where do you go? What do you do? And your thoughts about the water quality. You could win one of 5 $100 vouchers simply by completing their survey. The survey will help them find out whether the water is being tested in the right places and how the service can be improved. Complete the survey online by going to Environment Southland's website or pick up a hard copy from Environment Southland, the Southland District Council, Gore District Council, Invercargill City Council or Public Health South.
And your weather today, Monday the 2nd of March. It's a good spread across the country and 15 degrees separation between Stewart Island and Christchurch today, which had the high of 28, 25 for Auckland, Wellington on 23, Dunedin on 24, quite a drop further south with Queenstown on 17, Gore on 16 and Invercargill City on 15 degrees today. As for tomorrow, morning cloud, then mostly fine with light winds, a high of 14 for Stewart Island, 19 for Winton and Wyndham. 18 the high for Invercargill and Tuatapere tomorrow, and Gore should climb to 19 degrees. Te Anau looking for a high of 21 and Queenstown 22 degrees. An overnight low of 9 tonight. And in the marine forecast for FOVO, southwest 20 knots turning variable 10 knots, southwest swell of 2 metres, rough sea easing and poor visibility and rain at times. For Pusiga, southwest 15 knots to northwest 20 knots, northwest swell of 2 metres and a southwest swell of 2 metres and rough sea easing. And the long-range forecast for the south, Wednesday morning rain or drizzle about Stewart Island, otherwise fine with just not much wind. High cloud and northerlies for Thursday and early rain with a southwest change, then winds tending easterly on Friday. Coming up in sport, a Super 15 wrap as the Highlanders secure their first win for the season. From the news team though, it's good night.